Welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. Today's episode is a special episode. I have a guest on today, which I have not had on the podcast yet, but I talk about very frequently on the podcast. And that is my partner in crime, my boyfriend, my man, the main man, Mr. Boston Jack. And I'm going to be interviewing him a little bit, but also we're going to be sharing about couples who maybe are trying to get into health and fitness and what works for us and what has really just shaped our day-to-day life now. But it didn't start off that way. So I thought it would be great for us to take a deep dive into what that looked like. So welcome to Boss Bitch Radio, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Are you happy to be here with me?
I'm very happy to be here.
All right. Well, we'll give everybody a little bit of a quick intro. Do you remember the first time we met?
I sure do.
What stood out to you?
Your body, your face, you stepped out of that terrible car. And I was like, wow.
Well, for context,
Okay.
my car was in the shop and I was driving what I affectionately call a roller skate because it was just like not a car. It was kind of a silly, goofy rental
It
car.
wasn't a terrible car. I shouldn't say that. It was just, the anticipation of you showing up. And you got this really nice car and listening to all this stuff about you didn't mean anything in the end,
Right. So we met on Bumble and we talked for a few weeks before we met. And all we have to go off of is appearances, clearly, on a dating site like that.
Pictures that may or may not be
Correct. Right. As we know how the dating world goes in apps. But I didn't really come forward with saying like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. I didn't put much of that or any of it really on my Bumble profile. And I don't think you had any mention of the career and field that you were in. So can you just share with everybody really what your, I guess, passions or your work is so they can get an idea of how well this sort of collided?
I feel like I get a lot of passions.
Yes. But the ones that bring you money. Yes.
So I currently have a gym as well and a supplement store.
Yeah.
So that's my means of making money.
And we didn't know that when we met each other. So it was kind of interesting because I knew that I did not want to date a bodybuilder. That was not something I was looking for. And you
I knew that too.
did not want to date a bodybuilder either.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I feel like maybe it's important that we talk a little bit about why that is because a lot of people don't understand. I'll give my perspective on why I didn't want to date a bodybuilder is because I had dated bodybuilders in the past and it wasn't a successful sort of melding of personalities. And I think it was just too much. And it maybe very well could have been those people specifically too, but I just knew that wasn't the lifestyle I was going to be living anymore. And I didn't want to be really tied to somebody where that was going to be their primary focus because it's very selfish sport. Now, why were you not? Because you had your fair share of experiences with bodybuilders owning a gym.
I do. Owning a gym and a supplement store. Definitely something that I've come across. One of my close friends is actually a bodybuilder.
Yeah, you're going to be in his wedding.
Best man.
Yes.
So with that said, a lot of the stuff that interactions and things like that, I'm like, not bad people. Don't want to bash anybody or throw shade on anyone. But I will say that interactions for the most part maybe could have been those people. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't think this is something I want to deal with.
Yeah.
As far as a relationship or, and then, hey, I'm going to go get something that maybe is not super clean, but then you got to be eaten out of a Tupperware, and these are things we do because we do that now sometimes, and for the most part when I'm working, it's all Tupperware.
We'll talk about that here in a second, how it evolved, but yeah.
But that's just one of those things where I'm just not sure if that's my people.
Yeah. And that's okay. Cause this is my livelihood. This is my job, but I also have a respect for it and I do it. I approach it totally different, which I think you understand.
100%.
Yeah. Now, when we met, because I really want to talk about your journey this year with your own health goals, because by way of us dating and all of that, I think you've had your own really impactful journey that I've noticed and has improved I think just yourness, like who you are as a person. And when we started, that wasn't anything that was a focus. Like we just enjoyed each other's company and we did a lot of like eating out and doing things. But you're just a naturally active person. So you were always dragging me around places because I'm a homebody. But when it came to like the way that I eat versus you eat, I think I just kind of like, you were doing you. I wasn't like imposing my ways of eating on you or being judgmental. And I think for me, that was important because I've done that in relationships before and it was not successful. And so I knew going into it, I was very enamored by you and I was very attracted to you and all those things. And so it wasn't my job to tell you like, hey, you shouldn't be eating that or you should be eating that. I didn't want to be like parenting you in that way. And with time, I think, you know, we were each other's good and bad influences with certain things and we still are. But over time, things shifted. So can we talk about that a little bit?
I'm sure can.
Okay. So how much have you lost at this point? I know we've had some holiday fun.
Probably close to 27 to 30 pounds.
Okay.
And all body fat.
Yeah. Yeah. Remarkable.
Am I allowed to give shout outs?
You can totally give shout outs.
Okay.
I better be in that shout out list.
You absolutely are.
But I know I didn't do it.
So in my position, obviously, I have a supplement store and a gym. I also have a pretty amazing business partner that I care about a lot, amazing trainer. So with that, you know, I have access to all the supplements. I have access to a pretty amazing trainer who I train with on a daily. Okay, when I'm not training with the boss bitch.
Yeah.
So that's Derek Clements, amazing person, business partner, father, husband, coach, everything. Big respect to this man. So, and that brings a lot. Also, I hired a coach.
Well, let's stop there because you're dating a coach and I'm sure you asked a lot, like, why doesn't your girlfriend coach you? We never even had that conversation because I wouldn't have done it anyways. I mean, I would have, you know, we help each other out in so many ways, but I think that's an area that I've known from experience I don't like to dabble in is coaching, honestly, even coaching friends, but it's not something that I want to mix into our relationship. So you outsourced that.
I did outsource that.
And you didn't even tell me.
I didn't tell you
I was moving.
Okay.
Or I had moved, right? And yeah.
And let's just start it off from my main, I would say, fueled me was you, without a question. This was, we're getting ready for Olympia. Now you're on this whole journey where you want to lose body fat. You want to look good in a competition bikini.
Yeah, it was for the Angel competition show, and you were coming out.
And I've already started my own process of, I'm going to eat a little bit better. I'm going to go through the process and I'm going to track my stuff and things like that. But it just wasn't enough. I play hockey. I working out. You know, that's when Derek and I started working out a lot consistently. I just wasn't seeing the results I was looking for.
Yeah.
But I knew that we had Olympia. I'm going to be going with the boss bitch, you know, representing the boss bitch. So I'm like, I got to bring it.
And you brought it.
I brought it.
You're so hot.
I always bring it.
Well, losing 30 pounds isn't easy, clearly. And I know a lot of listeners here on like their own health and fitness journey, and they also have partners. And we hear a lot of times, and I know because you're in the supplement shop, which for those of you that aren't familiar, he owns Premier Fitness, and inside the gym is the supplement shop. So they're all kind of contained together. So you're constantly having people come in and ask questions. So you get a lot of what I get in terms of what people are asking you, like, oh, how do I get rid of belly fat? How do I do this? When it comes to how you dropped 30 pounds, what do you feel was like the biggest game changer for you?
Say more.
Like what, you know, because you're an active person. You never sit still. You're always doing something. I always tell you're like an interesting anomaly because you don't have any weird like vices, right? You don't drink, you don't smoke, you partake in garden gummies occasionally, but you don't have any like real vices except for your affinity for sweets. And that's something that gets us in trouble because I also have a sweet teeth. But what was the thing that you think made the most difference in order for you to lose 30 pounds?
My diet.
Yeah, I could have said that, but I didn't want to throw you under the bus.
And I mean, that's 100% because you could be working out like crazy. And I see it. I see people working out every day and not seeing the results. It's helped me be able to kind of, you know, bridge that gap between people be like, oh, putting in the work, results. I'm like, your diet is bad.
Yeah. And I think it's probably given you at least just hearing the conversations that you have now with people in the supplement shop, is they're coming in, and I've seen it in action when I've been there with you, and people walk in and they're asking questions and you're like, well, you can't just take this pill. Like, you actually have to work on your diet. And I think even more so now, you understand that and relate to it even better.
And that's one thing I always, because is this stuff actually work, and it's all supplements that I recommend, especially from my store, that, are going to be something that I stand behind. But if your diet's trash, and you'll hear me say this all the time, if your diet's trash, this stuff's not going to work for you, especially when it comes to like weight loss and things like that. So when you already started instilling the types of food I should be eating, and trust me, I watch everything, just to make sure, especially supplementation. There's been a couple of times, baby, don't do this. Okay. Because I know everybody out there is going to kind of come after you.
Yeah.
And you know how much I love that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you put that in there. So that made me, I'm going to say this, and I want to give a shout out to Coach Christian. Okay. Christian has been amazing. I've worked with Christian for as long as I've owned supplement stores.
Yeah.
Christian does a lot of stuff with formulating, and the guy is an absolute genius. I've got the boss bitch. I've got Derek. I've got Christian.
And you live in, you basically live, eat, breathe, sleep.
I live in a gym. I live in a supplement. Yes. And, and I try to take myself out of that. We do. We do that all the time. But at the same time, that's the way we live. So that made it easy for me to kind of transition into, okay, I know what type of foods I should be eating, but someone needs to help me and make me accountable.
Correct.
And I can't make that,
No, because I will bring you down. I'll be like, we really need crumble. Come on. Which we've gotten better about. But shifting a little bit more towards couples, because, we're 2025 is around the corner, and I know you see it just as much as I see it with people that come in and they're like, oh, well, my wife doesn't eat healthy, or my husband doesn't eat healthy, and it's just me. That's a really big challenge. And in full transparency, I know when you and I first started dating, I loved being active with you because we're always doing something, going places and eating and exploring. We've eaten out at a lot of restaurants, and it was really challenging for me at first because this is the most I've probably ever dined out in restaurants in my life. It's been in the almost 2 years that we've been in each other's lives. And it's really easy to be influenced by others' decisions. 100%. So when we'd go out, it'd be like, well, what are you having? Well, what are you having? And if you were having something like rich and decadent that normally I wouldn't have, I'd be like, well, he's eating that. So sure, I'll have chicken nuggets and fries, or I was on a chicken strips and fry cake, right? So it was challenging for a bit. And I thought, well, I'm just going to have to really be on point when I'm by myself, right? But there is a point where that catches up to you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So that was challenging. So what do you have as far as advice or suggestions for the people out there that maybe have a partner who is not willing? Right? Because I couldn't force you, just like you wouldn't be able to force me.
No, and the forcing is never a way to get something done.
Right.
Between you're with somebody and you're working with somebody. And of course, there's always one person who's ready to do it. Let's get active. Let's eat better. But then you have the other person's like, and you always have that other issues that men lose weight faster because of testosterone and things like that. So you always got to take that. So it's always got to be two people. It's not okay if you have, one person trying to eat well and then the other person's going to cook that crazy dinner. And we talked about this yesterday. This is something we never do. We never say, hey, I'm really tired. Let's go get fast food instead of making food.
Yeah, we did have that conversation.
And that's something we never do.
Right. Like, let's go get Taco Bell. We actually talked about that. We were going into conversation like, hey, what was your go-to fast food? And that was something we were just like, that's just not in our nature to just say like, I don't feel like cooking dinner. Let's go grab Taco Bell or McDonald's or whatever. It's not to say I haven't DoorDashed McDonald's on an occasional night here and there.
No comment.
Yeah, but I know you won't eat that. But it's super important, for us to be really a team in the process.
You also got to think about the other person. And I do that a lot with you because I feel like obviously you're in amazing shape. You're still in amazing shape. You're active. But women always could lose 5 more pounds. So you always have to be, I think that fuels me when we're together, that hey, I'm going to make something decent as opposed to, even breakfast. I'm making the same breakfast. We made breakfast this morning and it was the same breakfast I have every single morning.
Yeah, but I think one thing that I feel just kind of overall as a theme in our relationship even has been the teamwork aspect.
Absolutely.
And that's really driven from you more than anything. And I don't know if that's because you come from a very long history of team sports. And so that's really just kind of your mentality.
Absolutely.
But it's not something that's natural for me at all. Not like, oh, I don't like to work as a team, but I don't think that way. And so it's nice to have you on the same track in terms of like our nutrition and our workouts, because it's like, what are we doing? Like, let's think of this together as a team and how we can support each other, or how can we move the needle forward?
Absolutely. And in like any team sports, I mean, my background is obviously soccer, hockey, a little bit of lacrosse in college. But at the same time, we've had those times where we just didn't have it. Somebody's always picking us up. This is why, some of my closest friends back in high school, they are still family, still brothers. Those are people I played soccer with. Those are my best friends. Those guys. And there's been times where, especially when we were younger, people didn't have money. Okay, I'm doing good, so I'm going to take care of you. And we do this now.
Yeah, help each other out.
Absolutely. Somebody's always on top. Somebody's always picking up the slack. That's what you do. And when you're playing a sport, somebody's not picking up their slack, you're going to be there to push them. So we're together. I think we push people. We push each other.
Yeah. And I feel like I definitely feel like I need it more than you do. I feel like you have a very good, like you're very, I guess it's like intrinsically motivated. Like you just, if there's something that needs to be done, you just do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Where I'm like procrastination station. Your favorite name for me is what?
Last minute Larry.
Last minute Larry.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing for people to know is that when you have somebody in your life who, let's say you want to make a health and fitness change, you want to lose weight, whatever, improve your life. If your partner is not interested, that is when it becomes difficult and they don't want to.
Very much so.
And let's go back to like before you hired Christian. And let's say that I wanted to bring this up in some way, shape, or form. Like, how does one bring this up to their partner? Like, how would you be best able to receive that?
That's always tough because I've seen that. I mean, there's been a lot of people that come in and say, oh, my wife's trying to lose weight. There's no easy way to say, hey, let's go on a diet. Let's live better. Because in the end of it, and I've got a few friends that I'm actually working with right now. Yeah. I've sent them to Christian and they're not going to be able to work out with me and Derek because that's just something we do. Right. As business partners in the morning, that gets our day going. So, but everything else, I sent them to Christian. I was just living better.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say, hey, bro, you're fat. I can't say that.
Yeah, you can't.
These are family members to me. These are family. So it's not the easiest thing to say, hey,
you're unhealthy.
You're unhealthy. You're starting to have, and in our age, we're getting to the point where it's like, you go walk outside and it's like, oh, something's gone wrong,
Right. You got to be careful.
And the healthier, I feel better than I did, 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah, let's talk about some things that you've noticed aside from your weight loss, right? So clearly you've lost almost 30 pounds. I'll share with you things that I've noticed, right? Your sleeping is much better in terms of your, snoring and all that. I think a lot of men snore. That's typically a problem. And your breathing has improved. Your, the snoring situation, that's improved.
Can we just say that I have a nose issue, reconstructive nose surgery?
Yes. So, but besides that,
yes.
There is something to be said when you have 30 more pounds on your frame. It's harder on your heart. It's harder for you to breathe, all those things. One thing that I noticed really pretty immediately, because we hadn't seen each other for a minute. I feel like you had lost like a lot. And then we saw each other because I moved and I was like, holy shit, I think you had lost like 15 pounds or something after I saw you or something. I don't know. But sex was different.
I felt like sex was very different. Yeah.
It was never bad. It's always been great. But it was like, things just fit differently and go into different, like we just are just a different configuration.
You constantly say that.
It's so true.
I feel like I'm just getting more personally as a male, and the male version of this is what you're getting more connected to somebody.
For sure.
I feel getting more connected to you just brings so much more to the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, I think just from a physical dynamic piece of
Absolutely.
things.
I'm more comfortable in my body.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
know.
Can we talk about that? Are you okay with talking about that?
Yeah, of course.
We'll get a little vulnerable a little bit because when we first got together, you know, we would be intimate and I'd be like, why aren't you taking your shirt off? Right?
Yeah.
Like there was things like that. And we still had amazing sex.
In my defense, with the boss bitch.
I know you did tell me that
This
later on.
person, you became this person to me that I was just like, wow. So that what's brought on a lot of like, oh wow, do I compare to this person? Am I enough for this person? You know, these are all the type of things because you have this strong woman that's, you know, nobody's gonna push her around. You know, she's in shape. She's a pro bodybuilder. You know, these are all things I'm like, wow.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it took a minute for me to get that confidence.
And it was.
And I'm a
while.
confident person.
You're
I'll be
very
honest.
yes, and I was
absolutely.
always perplexed a little bit, and I just it wasn't something that I felt like I wanted to bring up or like have a conversation around. But there is something to be said about when you feel good about your body, you know, and anybody can do this at any weight. It has nothing to do with that. However, it was a byproduct of your weight loss, was your confidence being naked around me and doing things like that just
Well, there's a lot.
skyrocketed.
There's a lot to it. I mean, I'm not a small person, you know, 6'1", heaviest in the 280s, you know, and that's not a good 280, but being taller and having the wide shoulders, I think it allowed me to hide that, you know, a lot of that stuff. So when I started losing weight, and this is something that guys go through where it's like, all right, I'm losing weight. This stuff's getting small. I mean, I had to get new pants.
I know. I remember you coming over and I was like, babe, I love you, but you're looking sloppy. Your clothes are too baggy. It's like you're wearing your, I don't know, big brother's clothes.
I was so
something.
excited to wear that outfit for Olympia.
And it was too big.
And it was too big.
Yeah.
It was a waste of a lot of money.
Yes.
Those were expensive jeans.
They were. But, you know, I think that we're kind of off topic, but still important to the conversation is it brought us closer, I think intimately, because I feel like you've become a lot less inhibited, right? Like you're not like, you know, you'll take your shirt off now. You'll walk around in your underwear, like things like that maybe you weren't doing before. And I love that. It just
I mean, sometimes
gets me.
I mean, you know, we've also got, you know, January coming. We're going to kick up. We got a trip. So with that said, you know, still got room for improvement, a lot of room, and I'm excited about that. You know, Christian is as well, but at the same time, you're feeling way better. You're feeling you could, and that's a huge when you're with somebody, because you want to feel comfortable and you want to make that person feel comfortable. So that, with that said, that made a huge difference, I think, in a lot of our interactions.
Right. But it's also really nice, I feel like, when you can get on the same page with your partner and you start working as a team. And I will just say one thing, well, a lot of things that we do really well together, and this has always been sort of a dream of mine, to have a partner where we can share the responsibilities when it comes to cooking and grocery shopping and doing all those things. And you've been incredibly helpful with that. And I think once you started to focus on your own health and your own nutrition, it also helps me immensely, because I will tend to just be like, oh, it's fine, I haven't eaten, and then just skip meals and things like that. And you're, again, being the organized and methodical person, making sure everything is in line. Like, you make breakfast, we'll make dinner together, or we just kind of take turns with all that stuff. And it's very helpful for me. So I think if in relationships people can establish who does what is helpful, even if it's sort of a gray area, right? Where it's, I'll get the groceries, like you help me cook, or we do it together. Like, we were cooking yesterday.
Absolutely.
And I said, this is so much more enjoyable to me that I have you in the kitchen and we're doing this together.
I don't think the meal we had was great.
It was trash,
But
because my chicken wasn't marinated. It was marinated in something new and I didn't like it. But
yeah, and then we played with the rice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad, and we had fun doing it. You know, I wasn't mad after. I was just like, all right.
Now let's talk about the workout piece of things, because I I own a gym, you own a gym. We're very much in health and fitness. And I think a lot of people think that, oh, well, it's easy for you. Like by default, you are just programmed to just do these things. But that's not true, clearly, right? Like you get busy, we run businesses, and sometimes we're the last ones to take care of ourselves because we are putting out fires and solving problems all day. But I think one thing that is important is that when we're together, it's like we need to figure out when that's going to happen. And then we push each other and motivate each other. So when one of us isn't feeling motivated, I won't point the finger at myself, but it's you.
No, I'm not pointing.
What do you feel like kind of just helps get it back on track so we can be
this always back down to knowing somebody. And this will be, you are that person where I'll be like, I don't really want to go to the gym today. And you'd be like, okay, I wasn't feeling it.
Oh yeah.
But I do know that you're also that person that deep down inside you're saying, push me to go. And that's the thing. Let's go.
Yeah, I definitely need that.
And this is not for everybody because we enjoy going to the gym together. And I do know a lot of couples don't. You know, I love working out with you.
Yeah.
You are a leg monster and I love legs. And that's one thing you just don't find. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have that people aren't going to have. So you got to find those middle grounds. One of the biggest things that the boss bitch is famous for saying is don't work out with your boyfriend.
Yeah.
You're going to turn
don't
into a Dorito.
Don't train with your man. You're going to turn like an upside down Dorito. Yeah. And I agree with that. I think it just depends on your dynamics and what you enjoy doing. And maybe it's you guys go for walks together, which we do a lot too. That's something I feel like we've done for a long time.
Don't wait till you see a lot of the older people do. Wait till your 60s, 70s, 80s. Do that now.
But I think too, one thing, like as a side note, we walk a lot. Like I'll be like, you'll be like, how many steps do you have?
I'm totally giving you credit for that. And I actually do that when I'm not with you. I do that. I come home from work, I'll eat, and then I'll go for a walk. And then sometimes when we talk.
Yes. And that was what I was going to say is when we have our best conversations. And personally, I think for me, this is where I can kind of download the day and just kind of go through like, is there anything that I want to have a conversation with you about in our relationship? Maybe something that's on my mind, good, bad, everything in between. You process your day. We kind of get it all out. We solve problems. I also think too that there's been a lot of times when I have wanted to maybe have a difficult conversation with you.
Oh, I love those.
Oh, no, how much you love those. And I'll be like, let's go for a walk. And like, I don't want to make the walks like something you associate with like conversations that are difficult, but it helps to kind of get it out because I think sometimes couples will avoid having conversations because it's really challenging. Like you and I are sitting across from each other, staring at each other, right?
Yes.
It's a lot more intimidating to have a difficult conversation like this than to like, let's go for a walk and we're walking side by side and we're moving and we can have conversation and kind of work it out. That's maybe not your preference. I know not at all is your preference.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. But I feel like it's helped us sort of find a balance of communication in other ways too, where it's not as scary.
I think
right?
that's the biggest thing is communication. And that's where people kind of lose focus on their significant other, because even if you don't have to lose weight, I would honestly say, I don't think that you need to lose a pound. But if that was the case, I still have to, keep myself moving, and I think that's the other thing is the health factor. Not only is just a look, it's the health factor.
Most importantly.
Like you said, my sleep, which I do feel like I've been sleeping better with a lot of that stuff. But at the same time, it's your overall health. I don't want to wake up and be like, I got to go to the hospital today because I'm out of this medication or that medication. And even I think early on, maybe middle school or high school, early high school, I had high blood pressure. And I think that was a thing due to weight, so always bringing the weight down and not having a lot of family members alive, close family members alive. I can't go to, so it's my sister and I, as far as like, do you ever have this issue? Do you ever have this issue?
Right. Health history. Yeah.
And there's a lot, and for the most part, we don't have a lot of health issues, except for, I think she's got some knee issues. 3-4 knee surgeries. Me, only one, but that's from sports.
Right. But like your family history, is there something you have too much knowledge about?
Too much knowledge, can't really ask,
Right.
And so for that, let's
just be proactive for ourselves.
My sister's a huge fan of the Boss Bitch. You know, everybody's learning. And when I'm talking to females too, I always tell them, what should I be eating? Okay, you got your phone on you. Do you have Instagram? Pull Diane Flores IFBB Pro up.
Yeah.
She is amazing. Sorry. That's my girlfriend. That's the love of my life. But I'm going to tell you, this is a bad bitch, you know? And I love that because my sister's a bad bitch, you know, military, senior master sergeant. She's the shit. And, you know, having strong women around me is always huge for me. You know, so that's something I kind of take on and respect, love about you. You know, you're kind of a big mixture of my sister and my mom. You put them together and it's like, okay, this one fits the mold, you know.
Well, I appreciate that because I know how highly you speak of both of them. So
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, when it comes to supporting each other, you know, because let's look to the people that have really unsupportive partners, right? Like,
Absolutely.
How do you handle that? I just feel like you have to approach it as a team. I really do. I think having a conversation with person about not like you need to lose weight, you like making it a we thing. Like I want us to grow older together and have healthy, you know, activities we can do. And, you know, whether you have children or grandchildren, like thinking about that and how your health plays a role in being able to be there for them and not have them taking care of you when you're older because you're ill, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have 2 grandbabies. I have a daughter who's just turned 22. So that's been great because when my daughter was 12, 13, 14, got her into softball. And that's when we, you know, and I was a big part of that. And I'm happy. And I was a little younger then too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is what allows us to be able to. And now these kids are going to be having kids and we want to be able to go out, enjoy that, enjoy ourselves, you know, and it's going to take a team effort, I believe. Like it's hard when you don't have that to kind of go after people that don't have that. But
no, it's true.
you kind of have to look at yourself and be like, is this good for me? You know?
Yeah. You mean in the relationship?
In the relationship, I mean, not to get into type of relationship stuff, but at the same time,
it's true.
If you don't have somebody pushing you or helping you or right by your side, holding your hand, I think that's huge, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing that I struggle with when I see clients who come in and they're like, their husbands don't support it. And there becomes like, this is kind of like the extreme, but I do see it a lot where they get jealous and they're like, who are you trying to be hot for?
Absolutely.
And this and that. And it's like, well, I'm trying to have you do it with me, but you don't want to. But then there's also couples where they don't even want to involve their partner. They're like, this is for me. I don't want them being a part of it.
I think that's something said though.
Yeah,
you know?
There's something deeper there too, totally going on. But for those healthy relationships out there, let's talk to you guys. But I think it's really a matter of sitting with your partner and just saying like, I feel like we could be doing better for our health.
Absolutely.
And how can we work together and make that happen?
And it doesn't have to be like a weight. It doesn't have to, hey, you need to lose 20 pounds.
Exactly.
Sweetie. It doesn't have to be that. Health. How do we live healthier? And if you live healthier, usually you're
Gonna
leaner,
look better.
You know, and
Yeah.
you look better. I mean, I've had a lot of people be like, wow, you look younger. I was like, really? And that's been huge. You know, that's been huge. It's a confidence builder. Mm-hmm. And it's got to be reciprocated between two. You know, it can't be like, oh, well, she looks great, but I look like trash. You know, and it's like, are you going to be that guy? You know, are you going to be that woman that watches your guy work out? And I see that all the time too. I don't work with those people, but you know, and it's like, are you going to catch on? Are you going to catch on? Or are you just going to just be over there? You know?
I agree.
So,
all right. So our vision for the future, just a little side segue here in conversation. So what do you think what do you think it's going to look like for us in like 10 years?
Health-wise, I think that I love what I do, like how I'm living and stuff like that, you know? So with that said, I think if we continue that, I mean, I can't see in 10 years that I'm going to look terrible or I'm going to feel terrible. And I know people that are early 50s and they're at the point where they're like, I feel great. Okay. I just love the fact that, and I've been active since day one, even
Right.
though
The
early
fitness,
on,
the active part isn't really a trouble for you.
high school, college, after, I still play hockey. So I love staying active, The problem is with me, I worry about my size, being a bigger person. And I think that was one of the reasons why I was like, all right, well, I don't have to be 275 pounds on the ice.
Right.
There's countless people that have tried to hit me and didn't work. But at the same time, that's one of my things is that how can I be better on the ice? How could I be better here? How could I be better there? Well, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise better. And then I'm going to get on the ice and I'm going to hit it.
Yeah. And that's great because that's stuff that's important to you and you want to keep doing that. And I think if we, work as a team and just keep that top of mind, it helps you stay active in the activities that you enjoy. So I think for me, when it comes to that question, it's really, I like knowing that we have things planned that we can look forward to that are active. And I like getting out and doing things, and I'm dragging you along for like hikes and things, and you're enjoying them now. And we have great times and walking and talking. And
I don't feel dragged.
Okay.
I would say that. At first, I'm like, I don't want to go for a walk. I'm just, and my sports, and I'd rather
pick a ball.
I've done this with my sister when she wanted to go for those runs. Can I just put a shoulder in some of these people as I'm running by them? Like, how do I win this? See, I'm not going to be the fastest person.
Yeah. To knock people down.
Just maybe not knock them down, but I'm like, all right. But then you get to a point where, I'm with somebody that I love, and this makes her happy. Entail that makes me happy.
I love that.
Making the person, and I think for a lot of guys, this is something guys will do anything. Guys will bend over backwards for somebody they love. They just need to feel appreciated. Oh. And when we feel appreciated, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And we'll go on walks.
Yeah.
We'll go on runs.
You'll wear velvet pants.
I'll wear velvet pants.
We're going to a New Year's Eve party tonight, and I'm making, I didn't make you wear velvet pants, but the velvet pants are pretty killer. I'm just going to say.
As two people that spend our lives in fitness clothing, and now I feel great in some of my clothes and fit and things like that. I don't love dressing up.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't love dressing up because I think that reminds me of other stuff, and I'm trying to get out of that mind frame, because the last time I bought a really nice suit, which was really hard, was when my sister got a promotion for Master Sergeant. Great. Spent a lot of money. I mean, times before that was not for a good reason.
Yeah.
When you buy a suit, for me, that was like, So that was amazing. I bought this suit. I felt great. I was there representing my sister. I walked her down the sword thing. It's a different language, but she is an absolute G. So, I went out there and I rocked it, and it felt good. Now, you do like to dress up, and I feel like that's where I
like it and I hate it.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm trying on this stuff, and I'm like, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, baby.
I get like buttoned down. I'm like, can I just get a nice, like, tight shirt that makes my arms look big? And you're like, button down. I'm like,
button down.
So I left that on you.
Yeah.
If you say it looks good,
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to rock it no matter what. But yeah.
That's looking great. Well, I look forward to the future that we have sort of already started with plans for trips and doing things that are active and travel and just exploring and having fun. And we have a cruise coming up, which we'll share about as we get closer.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah. We have a cruise that's coming up in April. And so I don't want to say, I think with health and fitness, we are at a great baseline.
We also got a wedding in Napa.
Yeah, we do. When is that?
June.
Yeah. So I think right now we have like a really great baseline for health and longevity. And I think, and I preach this often on the podcast of how like your fitness can go into different phases and different chapters, right? So the beginning of the new year, it's nice to sort of hit refresh. You get all the holidays behind you, get more consistent. We've still been working out. We've still been eating probably like 80% of how we normally do.
Don't tell Christian.
Don't tell Christian and don't tell his coach. But now going into...
I do get a pass, by the way.
You do?
I feel like I get a pass because of the boss bitch.
Oh, yeah. He's a lot easier.
I'm going to Vegas. I'll be with Diane. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah. Little does he know that I'm also a bad influence. But yeah, I think
Christian, do not okay that.
yeah, it's still fine. I'll be good. But we have, like the cruise is coming up in April. And so we're going to go into a bit more focus.
Absolutely.
And just refining things. But I don't count macros. I'm not going to starve myself. I'm not willing to. We already know what our, I don't want to say problems, but where our vices are. It's our little snacks at nighttime when we're unwinding and we want to have something fun, or if we're out and about and we're like, ooh, a cookie place or a donut place. And we're like cookie and donut connoisseurs, more cookie than anything.
I'm the cookie. You might be the donut.
But we know that like we have to hold each other accountable. And so I will tell you, do not let me eat this or have that. And you'll be like, okay. And then
I do feel like you sometimes
I
also
override
say,
it.
Oh, love yourself.
When you eat
So
something.
I'm not supposed to eat this?
Yes, sometimes he'll eat something and be like, babe, don't eat that. Just love yourself. Please don't eat that. It's not good. It's not good. But
I think you said that about the rice last time.
I did.
Which was good.
It ended up fine. We just had to zhuzh it a little bit.
The chicken was...
Yeah. But anyways, well, I think this was a fun introduction
I loved it.
to Boss Bitch Radio. It probably won't be the last. I'm sure everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, have Jack on again. That was great. But yeah, I mean, what is one last thing you want to say to anybody who's out there who's maybe trying to get their partner on board or themselves? Like, what advice do you have to couples?
I don't know what advice I could give. I just feel like I'm blessed. I mean, I have you, I had Derek, or I have Derek, I have you, I have Christian, I have all these, and then we have our businesses that allows me to have the supplements that I need, the resources. So, and I'm dating the boss bitch. And that's one thing that I tend to push people towards you as far as, oh, you don't know what kind of food you should be eating? Here you go, follow her, because that's how I learned. Mm-hmm. When I got my meal plan, I was like, this is easy. This is all stuff that Diane sends me to the grocery store for. So
Yeah.
you just have to just want it. You just have to want it. And I know it's New Year's and I know that it's just get on it. Don't wait. But now it's like, who cares? Just get on it.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, working out. But I do believe people got to understand is that it's not just about working out. It's your diet too. And
it's mainly the diet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and just kind of get more connected with your partner. I think that's the stuff that you've said, get more connected with your partner and then, come up with a plan. I think that's what we've been doing. Write stuff down. Mm-hmm. And you just got to remember there's resources out there. There's
tons.
I don't coach. You're not coaching a ton of people, but there are people out there. You just got to find the right ones. But, I love the people I work with. I work with the boss bitch, Diane Flores. Amazing. The love of my life. I work with Derek Clements. That's my guy. Christian, my guy. It just makes life easier. And these are things you got to put forward for yourself.
Yes.
And I had these people and I'm like, wow, I'm going to utilize these people. And I do. And they're great.
Well, look at that. Who knew? Right in your back pocket the whole time.
In my back pocket, pull it out and just start using it.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, I love that. Well, thank you for being on my podcast and being such a huge supporter and always sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Everything.
I love this. I love the podcast. I love you. I'm just enamored by you, everything you do. I feel like we just got to get you out there more to people.
I appreciate that.
Because people, if they have the boss bitch, it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
Well, that was awesome, you guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our podcast, meeting Boston Jack, the love of my life, who's getting teary over here. I can already it. He's my baby mushball. But if you're in a relationship, how do you support each other's health goals? How can you be a source of inspiration for your partner and having conversations? Hopefully we've inspired you to live a better life together and improve your communication and get on the same page so you can live a healthier life together and, be healthier, hotter, and have great sex.
Love yourself, of your partner. And that's it. It's a happy life.
All right, you guys. Well, here's to a wonderful and prosperous 2025. And let us know. Hit me up over on Instagram or leave me a message here over on YouTube in the comments and let us know what you thought or share any questions. And we'd love to hear from you. All right, that's it. Bye, guys.